Hey everyone, my name is Marissa. Welcome to my divination channel. I am so honored to have you sharing space with me today. Really excited about these soul purpose readings. Keep in mind that in terms of the soul and your purpose for being here, there are many layers and nuances to these things, and this is just going to barely scratch the surface, but hopefully these messages will reach you at a time of importance, significance, and synchronicity, as I'm sure they will. So there are 4 aspects to each of these piles. The first is why you're here. The next is what you're being called to do. The third aspect is how you're getting in your own way. And the last aspect is to how best live out your destiny, okay? 3 piles to choose from today, 3 groups. I'm going to put an up close of the groups right here. As always, take your time. You can pause the video. You can use a random number generator if your left brain is trying to override your intuition at this point in time. And we're just going to hop right into these readings when you're ready. Hey, group number 1, welcome to your soul purpose reading. I am super excited to dive into this with you today. I decided to shuffle off camera today because we are using 8 decks and it just felt like what I wanted to do, so I honored it. So there are 4 aspects to today's reading. The first aspect is why you're here. The next aspect is what you're being called to do. Next, we have how you're getting in your own way. And lastly, how to best live out your destiny. Actually, I think it goes this way, then that way. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this. Why you are here, group number 1. We have 3rd house communication. It's so interesting. I was like hearing Gemini before I even, like as I was shuffling your cards, I was seeing the Gemini card of this, not this card in particular, but I was seeing the Gemini card in my mind's eye. Scorpio with investigate. And fall into my arms, surrender, holding the opposites extremes of life. This is crazy. This is so crazy because these 2 cards up here, while I was shuffling them, they flipped over and I heard a big message about surrender. Literally, surrender was loud and clear. So a big part of your guys's why you're here, in some sort of way, you are here to be a voice box of the divine. Okay, Scorpio is all about the occult. It's all about understanding like mysticism and diving deep into realms that most people don't take the time to. I feel like you guys are the individuals that have studied like mysticism, have studied metaphysics, law of attraction. You might even be niched in some area, or you just might kind of, like what I mean by that, you might have like a very esoteric kind of path where it's very niched. And then you also just might know a lot about a lot of things, or a little about a lot of things, or like a good amount about a lot of things that kind of create this overarching just like wisdom. And you're meant to communicate it in a way that is very organic and very authentic to you. I feel like what you speak on or what you embody somehow helps people to embrace the chaos of life. And, you know, with the Scorpio energy and this very extremes of life that's coming up here, I feel like you communicate the human experience, or you embody it in some sort of way, or you just like help people understand the human experience in a way that allows them to surrender, and in a way that allows them to even, you know, what true happiness is not the opposite of unhappiness. You know, true happiness is beyond polarity, and it embraces both extremes. It embraces the good things in life as well as the things that we, you know, maybe would have not have asked for ourselves, but ended up shaping us into who we're meant to be, right? The Scorpio energy is all about the phoenix rising from the ashes. And I feel like in a big way, your purpose here is to not only embody that, like consistently rising from your own demise. That's the Ouroboros, right? The Ouroboros is the very ancient snake eating its own tail, dragon eating its own tail picture. And essentially it's like you devour your karma or it will devour you. Essentially, the Ouroboros becomes something even greater than it was before through its own self-destruction, through its own demise. So I'm hearing in a big way, a big part of your purpose, a big part of your soul's blueprint in general. So what I mean by that, like the template of your life, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot, like in your early incarnation, you experienced quite a bit of adversity and quite a bit of moments where you were really tested, where things were pretty rocky. Sure, we all have moments of both in a lifetime, but I feel like in some way, the souls drawn to this group in particular have really been through the extremes of life, because it's part of your purpose, and so in some way you're here to help other people through those extremes. In some way you're here to communicate, you're here to build like community around something that or around like, again, the guides are leaving it very general, because the way that it's going to look for each of you, like I heard something about like AA was like an example, or like NA, that was brought to my awareness just now as an example. But it could also look like, being like a fitness instructor and communicating those lessons and extremes of life, and, building from the breakdown. You got to break the muscles down so they can come back stronger. Like something that you're doing, or the things that you're guided to do, it doesn't have to be one thing. That's not our purpose isn't just one thing, but it's like overall, the things that we do are like a vehicle that allow us to talk about, to share this message that we came through to deliver. And so no matter what you're doing, in some way, you're going to find that you're very dignified, you're in a very like strengthening, you're in very dignified positions when what you're doing and the areas you're in, the people you're around, allow you to kind of communicate this wisdom of the soul's journey, this wisdom of the human experience, and of embracing all of life and truly like surrendering to the waves, right? And, what I love about this is like it's taking on so much, right? This person, it looks like there's just a bunch of souls or a bunch of like, something coming in, or this could be looked at like baggage or whatever. I see this as, taking all the shit life gives you, and it's like you still leave lighter. You just take away what was meant to be taken away from that lesson. So life throws us a curveball, and it's like our world feels like it's crashing down. All of these things are coming at us, but it's like you take from that the lesson, right? And you leave the rest, right? It's like separating the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. And so yeah, the way that it can look and appear in your life can change. But you're gonna find that the opportunities, the positions, the career places, the career, what is it called? The career walks and just relationships, you're gonna find that you thrive more and you open yourself up to a greater streamline of prosperity when those areas allow you to just really communicate from a place of authenticity, no matter how weird, taboo, or different it could be. I'm even hearing something like sex coaches, or like talking about like polyamory. This could look so different. And that's why the guides are leaving it like really broad. It's just like what you do and what you be, what you express, I feel like is just very different from the mainstream. And just like what you're guided to explore and embody and learn in this life is just like not what the average Jane or Joe would find themselves immersed in, but you are gifted at what you do, and it can bring a lot of healing to people and give people the tools, or, tools can be actual tools, resources, physical resources, or tools can even be just like, words of wisdom that allow us to surrender and to soften around the hard blows that we can sometimes feel from life, and teaching people in some sort of way, through this knowledge, through this wisdom, helping them to embrace their own extremes, helping them to embrace their own uniqueness. So I could definitely go on about this. I feel like that's enough information for you guys to know if this is your calling, or if this is your pile, Next, we're going to dive into what you're being called to do. You are being called to do, let's see, ones are safe. Don't let pride get in your way. And broken arrow, embrace the energy of peace. So interesting. There's so much here about surrender. Okay, and I can't wait till we get to this, because this energy of peace and not being so like guarded is definitely a theme that is reiterated multiple times in this reading. And I just know that because these flipped over while I was shuffling these two. So yeah, a big part of what you're being called to do, pride and ego go hand in hand, and those things aren't negative, right? The ego essentially is just trying to protect us from shame and embarrassment and failure and things that, it's here to protect us, not only physically, our physical bodies, but it's here to protect us like psychologically. And so I feel like in terms of pride getting in the way, this is like when you start to think that you know better, what's your path? or when you start to think that you know better, or when your protection mechanism starts to get in the way of how you communicate, when you start to dilute your truth or dim down your light because you're not sure how it's going to be received. But it's like you're a breath of fresh air when those guards are down. You're such a breath of fresh air when you're just your most authentic self, because a lot of the things that you talk about and what you embody, the truths that you adhere to, are things that people they're questions that people have. And I feel like you have the answers that they're looking for. And we all have the answers. I get it, totally get it. But you just have prepared through lifetimes. You've just lifted the veil. And so it's easier for you to access that information because you've been doing the work for so many lifetimes. And so a big part of, I feel like what you're being called to do is notice when those protection mechanisms are coming up. Oh yeah, that makes sense. You and your loved ones are safe. That makes so much sense here, because a big part of what older souls have, and teachers like you, pile number one, have in their soul's memories are when they weren't safe for speaking their truth, and when they were literally killed, and when they were literally ostracized and given ultimatums of, keep doing what you're doing, going against the mainstream, speaking truth into people's lives, or, be banned from this community, So I feel like your soul kind of remembers and is a little bit jaded almost. There might be a guardedness you have around being your full authentic self. I don't doubt that you have a lot of love for people and that you really care about people. I don't doubt that for 1 second. I just feel like there's some guardedness from experiences you had in early incarnation in this life and from other lifetimes where there was, that was just part of your lesson. That was part of your curriculum at that time. And so now's a different time. Okay, so embracing the energy of peace as you move forward is really going to allow a more seamless connection to your soul stream. Right? It's like the decisions we make from peace are much different than from the decisions we make out of pride and out of anger and out of fear. Okay. And so more and more, remembering that you're safe, more and more remembering this is a different time, more and more remembering that, this is an insane time to be alive on the planet. Things are changing. People are becoming more open to these things, and you're good, and, a lot here about not building barriers up around your heart. The heart is the gateway between our higher self and our earthly experiences. Literally, it sits right between the higher chakras and the lower chakras, evenly divides them, right? And so there's a lot here about noticing when your heart starts to close off to someone, or when your heart starts to feel again, jaded keeps coming up, or when it feels the rug's going to be ripped out from underneath you. Just being aware of those moments in those small ways where your heart, where you even start to carry yourself a little bit differently, and just keep having that humility, keep remembering those moments. It's like my guides gave me this example the other day of I started feeling kind of rigid in my heart for a second because I really love this person that I'm with right now, and it's kind of scary because I've been on my own for a long time in terms of romance. I've just been navigating this journey by myself, and it's great. I've loved it, and life has ushered me into a new phase, right? And I noticed getting more and more vulnerable with this person, how it starts to feel kind of scary, and how I started my mind kind of started taking over, the pride, the lower self started taking over, and I felt instantly, I could feel my heart start to close and becoming just rigid, and my mind just developing this idea or this narrative that was creating the environment for my heart to close. And the second I noticed that and was remembered a situation that allowed me to feel very raw and vulnerable, and knowing that when we're open, when we're raw, when we're vulnerable, that's actually when the most amount of magic happens in our life. And it's almost a vibration or a statement of, I don't know, take it over from here, best, spirit, best, higher self. And just not allowing our narratives to get the best of us, and noticing, this is a very heart. I feel a lot of heart here. So next we're going to dive into how you are getting in your own way. Love begins. Oh my God. So crazy. Didn't I say? I didn't see this. It's very much of the heart. This is the Ace of Cups. Okay, so a lot of heart. Okay, and Leo, the lion, right, reminds me of the heart. Okay, so yeah, transition into what's getting in the way. It's maybe some of that rigidity around the heart chakra, and noticing when, it's like I only start to feel that rigidity when I start to develop ideas about myself. And the second I release those ideas about myself, and I just remember that everything, it's just nature playing out, and I'm a soul, and we're all souls, we're all doing our best. The second I release the mind, essentially, the more my heart just opens, and it's like that childlike innocence comes on board that lives in the heart. The inner child lives in the heart, right? And so, a lot here about what you went through and the memories your soul has were just like necessary experiences to develop compassion, right? And to like open the lens of perception even wider. And so, just noticing when those barriers come up. Look, the heart chakra is illumined here. And I love that not only is this illumined, but this is talking about what you're creating in this world with fertility. So again, creating from the heart, creating from an open heart, creating from peace, releasing ideas of how you think it should go, my will to thy will, holding the opposites, right? Being very open. Oh my God, look at that. Not surprised. Oh my gosh, you guys, we have 133. And at one point I looked up at the clock and it said 1333, which is weird because usually I'll call out the angel numbers if I see them, but I didn't. But here it is again, 133 could be a significant number for you, or 1333 again. So there's a lot here about being open to people and being open to love again, honestly. Being open to love, and it's not just romantic love. In the West, we just have kind of put romantic love on a pedestal, but love in all of its forms, whatever allows you to nurture the blossoming of your heart. That I just saw 1555. So that could be pets. That could be our children, that could be lovers, most certainly. But whatever allows you to get into that space of love, and then knowing that as the heart opens, these things are going to come up. The extremes of life, right, exist within these things. So romance, for example, you're going to experience not only the most blissful ends of the spectrum that you really like, you're going to experience the ends of the spectrum that you don't like, versions of yourself, feelings, emotions, jealousy, rage, anger, all of those things. Those are the extremes of life. So you're surrendering to the play, you're surrendering to life, you're surrendering to the emotions without like feeding into them, without feeding those narratives, right? As the heart opens more and more. So really about connecting with people, really about creating spaces, and there's a lot here about community that continues to be reiterated. Heart-based community. This is your sangha. This is your satsang. These are your fellow brothers and sisters that share the path with you, okay? And giving yourself permission to love, giving yourself permission to develop these bonds. Maybe we have developed an attachment to non-attachment. That's something I definitely went through, where it was just a protection mechanism. It was pride, right? If I'm attached to non-attachment, that essentially I can't get hurt. If I hold all of my experiences and people, I just made a video on TikTok about this recently, and it's also on my Instagram, so follow me, Mariposa, if it resonates, Marissa Ginty. But it's like a way to like hold people and experiences at an arm's distance by being so attached to non-attachment, by being so, attached to not feeling so deeply for someone, just all of the narratives again that we've made up. If it's born of the mind, it's probably false, and if you just let the heart guide the way, you'll start to see more and more that it knows what to do. It knows where to take you. It knows the shortcuts. It knows, how to avoid detours. And the mind at that point then becomes a servant. Okay, so letting those guards down. Next, we have the Three of Pentacles. Oh my God, you guys. Oh my. Okay, try not to drop an F-bomb, but literally you have 1333 now. Okay, so that's insane. I love this world so much. So community, communication, community. They both have the same root word, okay? Communing, rejoicing. So you're definitely, a big part of your purpose is here to lead and teach. And, I feel like you're just a powerful leader, whether you know it or not. Very powerful. I'm getting goosebumps. Okay, that's definitely one of your gifts, is a heart-based leader. And I feel like maybe you've just had contrast. Because this is in your soul's blueprint, know that you will have contrasting experience of what happens when you're creating experiences and environments when your head is taking over, when your mind is taking over, and what happens when you're just surrendering to your heart. You know, very different type of experiences you're creating, very different type of life, like timelines you're merging with, very different. Okay, so 1333, that's a good number, big number for you guys. 4 of Swords, releasing the mind. It's the swords energy, so the intellect, but it's all about surrendering and releasing and creating space around those fragmented parts of ourself. You know, it comes after the 3 of Swords, so giving yourself time to just like really resting enough, not jumping into conclusions. So we're really extracting the juiciness of these life's experiences. Next, we have the 2 of Cups. You cannot make this up. You have the Ace, you have the 2, and you have the 3. So much about what's getting in your way is your fear of really being loved, is your fear of the vulnerability, honestly. Because I feel like you guys got it together. You're good on your own. It's clear. It's so clear that you're good on your own, pal number 1, but what's going to take you into even greater unfolding is as you allow your heart to blossom in your one-to-one connections, you know, as you allow yourself to just love, as you allow yourself to get fucking attached. True freedom is knowing that you're going to be immersed in the extremes. True freedom is not pushing or pulling anything away. Okay, so being open to when you start, you know, you fall in love with someone, it's like, wow, I actually really fucking like being around this person, like kill me, you know, like, you know, like releasing the word or the rules and just doing what feels right in each moment, surrendering to the extremes of life. Lastly, we have the 3 of Wands. You have so many freaking 3s. Oh my goodness. So yeah, 3 is all about expanding opportunities, or the opportunities that are expanding, or how many opportunities come to you through the opening of your heart, through the blossoming of your heart. Okay, this is also the 3rd section of this reading. So many 3s. All right. And knowing that you're going to be successful, like the 3 of Wands, what I love about it, it's not only like I'm going on this new journey, I'm choosing this wand, I'm leaving behind this path. It's like, it's ruled by Aries and the sun. So it knows that it's going to be successful without a shadow of a doubt. And that's the type of what's getting in your way you're still learning you're still discerning that, right? You're still learning that when I follow my heart, shit works out even better than I could ever imagine. When I get out of my own freaking way and I just follow it, it's like, not only is it, yeah, this is a new adventure, but I know it's going to go not only as it's not going to go as you expect, because it's going to go better, right? Because more and more in this life, you're just going to continue to develop or gain evidence of that, right? And in some way, you're here to express that to your people and give them the same type of empowerment, right? Internal, empowerment, I guess, if that's the way to say it. Permission slip, I guess, to do the same, to live the same type of bold life. Okay, so lastly, we're going to get into how to best live out your destiny. We have nature and we have apologize, which to me, these were not to be taken literally. That's honestly, I heard your guide say that instantly. And I heard surrender. I was like, okay, like nature is all about like, what's our true nature, and that our true nature is always changing, and that, you know, nature just, that's what she does. And to surrender to the rhythms is what I'm getting at. To surrender to the extremes, to surrender to the entire spectrum of the human experience and the emotions that can come up. I'm sorry, I'm trying to straighten this out so you can continue to see everything. Should have gone that way. And apologize is kind of like, again, living with that humble heart. It's not like how to best live out your destiny is like apologizing to everyone. That's not it. Or saying sorry about who you are. That's not what this means. How this is being communicated to me in this moment is, it's like living with a humble heart. So if you do feel like you need to apologize, there'd be nothing in you to keep you back, because you're so surrendered, and you know that this is where your heart is guiding you, and you know that anytime you are following your heart, good things happen. And yeah, I mean, honestly, you guys, like, the secret of happiness is through our reflections of other selves. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's literally like fertility, love, nurturance, right? It's all the same thing. And how we experience that the most on earth is through our connections with other souls. not just humans, but in this spread in particular, it is coming up as humans, okay, and opening up to other humans, because it's probably been the other humans in your life that have let you down the most and that have caused you, or, you know, created catalysts for you to not be so peaceful and to be a little bit prideful, be a little bit closed off to trusting people, to trusting life, right? But living out your destiny is surrendering to the course of things and letting things play out as they will. And it's interesting, the more you just like accept things in you that are maybe hard, because it's easy for us to like accept the positive parts of our personality, but the not so positive parts, or the areas that we would consider flawed, the more you just let those be and you don't like resist them, it's so crazy. The more easily they seem to fade, the more quickly they seem to fade, and you allow a space for a new narrative. Okay, so how to best live out your destiny? Surrendered. Page of Pentacles, being curious, having that childlike innocence, that childlike curiosity. Yeah, using your passion. This reminds me of Virgo, but using what you're good at, your gifts, your talents, and through that vehicle of using your service, your gifts, and your talents to better off everyone else, you will live a very abundant life. And you're good on your own. You know, I feel like you're already good on your own. I was already getting a very like hermity kind of like Nine of Pentacles vibe from this group. Okay. And, you're already there. Right. And so now it's like, she's looking off to the Ten of Pentacles is what I'm seeing here. And okay, I'm good on my own. I know that, but like, how can I share this? It's almost like the page is holding the 10th Pentacle. Right? Like, how can I like accept this? And she's like looking away from the page, and it's like right there, you know, it's like, this person wants to be here. This person wants to vibe with you. These people want to vibe with you. These people really want to get to know you deeper. These people like, you have something that these people need. And I'm going to say that and own it. You have something that these people are missing. Okay. And by opening your heart up to like loving people and like romantic, but not just romantic, but like familial, soul family, you know, all types of love that exist in human form, parent to child, brother to sister, soul to soul, the cashier, you know, the barista, saying yes to those things, looking at what those have to offer. Also, I just noticed she's wearing red Converse, and I have red Converse. Like, I just got them for Christmas. Okay. So yeah, ADHD. All right. How to best live out your destiny. That's crazy, because this literally is accepting that pentacle. It's accepting that, you know, those opportunities, those permission slips, accepting those things that are going to bring you into deeper harmony, deeper connection with other humans. Okay. And yeah, I feel like how to best live out your destiny, it's very hands-on. So what I'm getting is like, yeah, some people might have a lot of like, it might be in like a very, what am I trying to say? Some people have lifetimes where a big part of what they're doing is mainly online in this day and age. And I feel like you guys are meant to have physical community, okay? Physical contact. You're hosting retreats in person. Maybe you have an online presence, yeah. But if anything, I feel like where the most magic happens for everyone is when they're in your vibrational field, when they're in your actual like physical presence, okay? Very hands-on. So yeah, whatever that looks like in person. But yeah, and also, yeah, accepting it. It's like really taking it. This is beautiful. I feel like maybe you've been avoiding it for some time, or just like not as open to deepening relationships with people, or just like really being open, really letting people see all sides of yourself, and not just like the wise person that you've become, but even the parts that, you know, you might be ashamed about or hard for you to open up about, really humanizing yourself. And that's going to show you more and more how beautiful it is to be human. And that's when I feel like we really unlock our divinity. That's what divinity incarnate means. You are divine. You are also incarnate. You don't become more divine by denying your humanity. And maybe, you know, you just have some tender spots around being vulnerable and feeling like you were left out in the cold, and you don't want to feel that again. That's totally understandable. But it seems like no matter where you look, is what I'm getting, is like Spirit's like, take it. Come on. You know, more and more opportunities to just like share the abundance that you've developed within yourself with other people, you know, sharing it. Not that you're stingy, but again, it comes from emotional protection over anything. Okay. The Hermit, you're already doing this. Not surprised. How to best live out your destiny. It's like, yeah, you're not, you are meant to be the guide for others. I feel like maybe if anything, you've had teachers to kind of like help wake you up and remind you the wisdom you already have access to, but you have a very unique connection to your soul stream and a very unique connection and way of expressing your wisdom. I think that was coming through in the beginning. Scorpio and third house, like definitely screams that. Yeah, third house does rule like online stuff. So maybe you have it all. Maybe you do have it all. Maybe you do have like a nice online presence and that's part of your calling in some way. Because I am guided, she is looking at a laptop too, you know, but it's like the light, it's like, I just feel like you shine everywhere. And so, yeah, maybe you do have whatever platforms you can get your little fingertips on, you're just sharing your wisdom. And people near and far are able to bask in the light that you have to offer, you know, but definitely, yeah, overall, very abundant and very like your career in some way would most certainly reflect this. It's not like, you know, some of our dharma doesn't mean career, but sometimes our dharma and our career, like our career looks like our dharma. And so I feel like this would be a group where our career looks like our dharma is really what I'm getting. We have the Empress in reverse. Look at that. This flipped over when I was shuffling and it was so clear that I was supposed to leave it unflipped or leave it, you know, yeah, reversed. Because this is like how you're getting in your own way and how to live out your destiny is like undoing this, right? Really creating from the space of the heart, what you're creating, what you're putting out there, noticing again, even creating through our words, spelling, right? Casting spells with our words. So just noticing when that prideful energy comes up and when that protection energy comes up, right? And not overextending, not overexhausting yourself, okay? And the heart is connected to intuition. That's our emotional guidance system as well. So it's like how to live out your destiny. It's like you're giving yourself enough space to recoup, enough time to recoup. And then, yeah, it just unfolds perfectly from there. And lastly, we have the world. Yes. How to best live out your destiny. You deserve it. You deserve it all. Okay. And there's so much here about staying committed with all the fixed energy that's here, staying committed to your purpose. And, you know, when you protect your purpose protects you, right? So this is above anything. It's like really speaking your truth, walking your talk. You already do so much, but I really feel like if anything, this is like how to best live out your destiny. It's almost like you probably already know this stuff, right? You probably already know this about yourself. And this, if anything, was just confirmation that you're on your right path. Because with all the codes I'm seeing here, all the powerful ascended master numbers that I'm seeing here, just the powerful energy in general, I feel like this would be a group where your highest timeline is honestly inevitable, but it's like you could enjoy the journey a lot more because, yeah, you are just here to inspire a lot of people near and far in a lot of different ways around the world in person. And yeah, you're definitely here. Like no one has a greater or lesser purpose. However, some of us are, you know, have been doing this many, 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 many times. Not saying all old souls become teachers that are well known in their community, but you are definitely an old soul that is going to be well known if you're not already well known in some way in your community with how you express and how you communicate whatever this niche thing area is. You know, it's like you're doing it, you know, and I feel like at least at this point in your journey, it's really just opening the heart, keeping that humble heart. Not that you're arrogant at all, but just like knowing, you know, it's that open heart that's necessary for those higher energies to be bridged down in our physical reality. And I feel like you're good on your own. That's very clear. It's about offering what you have to others, accepting what others are giving you, and then also offering what you have to others, the wisdom, the gifts, you know, whatever it is, the trainings that you've gone through in this life and other lifetimes. Okay, so very beautiful. I'm going to leave this here. I just saw 3303 on the clock. Okay, so more of that 333, okay, number. Let's leave a cup for sure down below to represent all of this heart energy, or a green heart, whatever, your favorite heart. And yeah, comment down below how this resonates or is relevant for your life, or leave that emoji or all of the above. This all helps other souls receive these validating and comforting and confirming messages when and if they need them. And I hope to see you again soon. Much love. Hey, group number 2, welcome to your soul purpose reading. I'm so excited for this reading. I'm so excited for these types of readings in particular. I love all tarot readings, but honestly, diving into the nature of why we are here, our soul's blueprint, that's just really what I'm here for. So it's obviously going to be something I'm super excited to extend to you guys. So I shuffled off camera today just because we are dealing with like 8 decks, and it just seemed like redundant to do it online or live or recording it all. So I just did it off camera today, but there are 4 aspects that we're dealing with. The first is why you're here. The next aspect is what you're being called to do. The third is how you're getting in your own way. And the fourth is how to best live out your destiny. Okay, so we're just going to jump right into it today, pile number 2. So we're asking those guides that are overseeing the group of souls drawn to this pile today, what is group number 2 here for? First, we have lost lands, soul memories, and gifts. You've done this before. Okay, so definitely something that you are showing up in this life like as an expert in, something that you've had a natural inclination towards, or something that you're naturally good at, or just like, even if it's not a thing, like a field in particular, this would just be like when you're doing this thing, or when you're expressing yourself in this kind of way, or you have the ability to talk about this thing or these things or this topic or this niche, you just seem like you know so much more intuitively than even seems like it makes sense in terms of your studies, or in terms of you just have a natural draw to something in this life that you're definitely here to teach other people or extend to other people, or to continue on in some way. Next, we have the great severing, Mars energy, conflict, anger, softening to love. So I feel like in a big way, your purpose on earth is to not necessarily like disregard the conflict on earth and all of just like the negativity and the polarity, but in a big way, you are to be a light during this time. Like, this is like what it means to be a light worker. And so working with our sacred anger and learning how to tame those things. And I feel like just being a harbinger of peace wherever you go. And I feel like this is telling me too, because it is ruled by Mars, you just have a lot of fire. Okay, I'm getting like Aries energy, obviously, like a lot of fire, maybe even, traditionally Mars rules Scorpio. So a lot about transformation here too, and just becoming the best version of yourself. I am getting that you're an old soul with this lost lands, and it seems like even some of you guys have locked into your purpose super young, is what I'm getting. Like, you've locked into like the thing that you're going to do for a while. And for some of you guys, it's been more of an exploration, more of a jumping around. And maybe at first it doesn't make sense. Like, you're like, okay, like, I know I have these gifts. I know I'm here for something big. I know I'm here to contribute to the great awakening of humanity. However, I'm not so sure like how it's supposed to look. And your guides are just reassuring you it will make sense. As the years progress, as time seems to move forward, it will make sense. Okay, so why you're here, group number 2, we have sustainability, 6th house. So this is, again, 6th house is all about using your natural gifts and talents in order to be of service. So, I always see the Wheel of Fortune here, and I see like a yogi meditating. So again, this reminds me of the peace that you're here to bring, the wisdom that you're here to impart for the world, what you're here to share to other people. I feel like a big part of why you're here is like, you're here to make living on earth and life on earth more sustainable in some way, whether that is like literally you're dealing with like eliminating plastics in your life, or you teach on that, or you teach on like herbology or herbalism or Ayurveda, how to live an actual sustainable life and not like short-term gratifications for long-term pain for not just humans, but for the planet and like this other species of, creatures that we share this inhabitation with. So also part of how sustainability could look in terms of this is like meditation, right? And breath work, or like Reiki energy work in some sort of way, like learning how to calm the forces of nature within in order to make our life more sustainable, our relationships more sustainable, right? So a lot of what you're here to do, I feel like, is undoing and bringing awareness, shining a light on the things that we do when we're unconscious. And so that's really what a light worker is, like shedding light on those dark aspects of self, not shaming them, or those dark aspects of humanity and just the tendency of humans. Okay, but again, this can look so many different ways, and the way that this can manifest is in so many different ways. But in some way, it's like you're kind of why you're here is to, like, a big part of your purpose was really to help ease the tension that Earth is experiencing at this time by seeing the interconnectedness of all things and by treating this incarnation and this planet sacredly. Okay, so you might, teach around that in some sort of way, calming the anger and the negativity on this planet, the things that we do when we're unconscious. So while you're here, we have you think differently than other people, solar, calm, clarify. Yeah, not surprised, because the energy of like clarity was coming through a lot. And solar, I was thinking of the sun card the entire time I was like speaking on that. So yeah, I feel like you're here to help people think differently, or to to think more, to think just broader than their own self, than their own life, than their own their own universe, and to help see a bigger picture. Interesting that we're speaking of meditation, because I'm kind of seeing the chakras manifesting here as well through the planets. You see that? So a big part of your incarnation is to bring clarity through peace, or somehow teaching how building peace in. Oh my god, that scared me so bad. This walkie-talkie just turned on. Oh my god, I don't know what that was. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna take that as a sign. That kind of let me out of my heart a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna take that as a sign that we're on here, and a big part of why you're here is to help people make decisions from that place of calm, right? And to not let anger or fear or the systems of more primal desires kind of like take over, and seeing how our lives and our timelines are much different when we're making decisions in peace and calm from clarity than when we're making decisions when the mud is still not settled, when the water still has a lot of mud in it, right? So yeah, beautiful. Definitely like light worker, definitely a big part of why you're here is not necessarily for, I feel like in some way what you're doing just like teaches or inspires other people, even if you're not like teaching on it to a group of people, just like you're kind of leading by example. So yeah, a big part of your soul's lesson has to do with like understanding the interconnectivity of all things and wanting to leave people and places and this earth better than what you once found it. So next is what you're being called to do. We have Lord, take charge with authority, hold your vision, and be bold and make the first move. Okay, we have take charge with authority and be bold and make the first move coming through. So it's very clear that in some way you're meant to do something. You're meant to take some sort of action in terms of what you're being called to do right now. So it has to do with your vision. It has to do something that you're maybe receiving in meditation, or something that you continue to think about, or something that your thoughts continue to pull you towards. And this is really what I'm learning. My guides have me in, or life, you could say, my higher self has me in this, the past couple years, in something very similar to this, where I'm seeing through direct experience what happens when we are calm enough, when we're calm and our nervous system is settled, and when we start to receive divine insights, and when we're actually leaning into those divine insights. And it's like, it's so crazy how quickly your life changes and how quickly things move. It's like you're on that accelerated path when you're working with intuition. So there's something here about what you're receiving, or you're calling. Something keeps calling to you, group number 2. And for some of you guys are already doing this. This is confirmation that, like, yes, that inspiration, that calling you keep getting and that you're moving towards, keep going. Don't give up. You're on the right path. And for some of you guys too, it's like some people in this group today have not done that yet. And you will. And you'll gain the confidence as you do it more and more. Like when I started this path, like following intuition and feeling like an authority in what I was doing was kind of like pushing it, and there was a lot of imposter syndrome. And while I won't say the imposter syndrome fully goes away, I will say that when you know you're working in alignment and in accordance with your higher self, there comes this unshakable, this undeniable sense of authority you have when you speak on the things that you're meant to speak on in this life. And when you are teaching on those things and demonstrating those things and, assisting others in their own ways to embody or to implement whatever it is that you're here to share with humanity at this time. So I definitely am seeing that you're meant to do something, because these are two very masculine cards coming up. This is equivalent to the Emperor. So you're meant to take charge, and it has to do with your vision. So taking some sort of action, or like maybe even taking the first step, like me even getting back into teaching fitness again. It all happened so rapidly, but I could not stop getting visions. Like I was waking up in the middle of the night and I was just feeling alive with the visions of teaching again in this community and for this organization that I once taught for, right? And my friend who's an instructor like invited me to take a class. I was leading a meditation and breathwork session at a retreat that she was hosting, and so that kind of got us talking again, because she's like, oh, I know you do this, I'd love to have you at this retreat that I'm doing. And so we started talking again. She's like, I have a free class card for you. How do you feel about it? I was like, I know I'm going to fall in love with it again. Long story short, I was getting the visions. It just started manifesting in my external reality, the steps to take. I took the steps, and, between January 9 and February 6, like that 3 weeks, now I'm going to be starting teaching in like 3 days from when I'm recording this. So all to say that when you're working in alignment with your higher self, things move really quickly and you stop questioning it as much. Okay. So that was mainly a message for those beings that like haven't taken those steps yet. At first it feels like a little bit wobbly or a little bit unstable, but more and more you can't see yourself existing or operating in any other way than getting that divine inspiration. And then when it comes through, you're like, bet. Like, I'm here for it. I'm going to serve. This is my divine assignment. This is part of my vision. This is why I am here. This is literally why I'm here. And to, being bold, making the first move, taking charge. So whatever you're getting. So yeah, that was all to say. My first action step was just like, okay, saying yes to something and then showing up to that first class, following the breadcrumb trail of excitement. You just keep following what feels the most exciting in each moment. And then before you know it, it's like your reality is completely shifted in so many ways. I can't even begin to like dive into it fully here. So keep making those moves. And okay, moving on. How you're getting in your own way. Disruption in reverse. Emotional withdrawal. I feel like you're maybe like avoiding something, doing something, or you're avoiding an opportunity, or it's like there might be a fear that if you do this thing, it's going to kind of like rock the boat a little bit in terms of how your reality has looked, even if you don't necessarily like how your reality is looking, or has looked. I feel like in many ways, just noticing where it's like you don't take the lead or you don't take charge, because I feel like it's just the avoidance of discomfort, really, when we start to embody more of our power, and knowing that the more you unearth this internal power, the more it's inevitable that your external reality is going to shift in accordance to that. And so this might not be something that you're fully aware of or fully conscious of, or maybe it is, but it seems like the main pattern in this life that gets in your own way is like, maybe like feeling like you can't do it, or it works for other people, or other people can do it, but it's not for me. And just being okay with the process of growth and the process of, the Emperor has won and lost many battles. Okay. And that's how you kind of get like season yourself to this type of journey that we're on, to this game that we're on, to this living in accordance with the road less traveled. It's like you win some And it almost seems like you lose a lot at first. Like things just don't work out, or it's not working. You know, I feel like it's definitely possible for people to try something and it to take off immediately. Like I know many people who that's happened. Honestly, for this group, I feel like maybe a big part of the lesson here is that it hasn't happened like that for you. Some, sure, it might have happened, but in other ways, maybe not so obvious ways, it's felt like things haven't gone according to your plan, right? And not giving up vision for that, not letting your head get in the way of like, oh, maybe it's not for me or whatever. No, maybe you're meant to just be building tenacity and perseverance, right? Maybe that's a big part of this. And, because at some point you never know how your story is going to affect other people, right? Because with codes like this that I'm seeing, your incarnation it's a double mission, or multi-layered mission. It's not just about your lessons like it would be for younger souls who are mainly exploring their own lessons. Older souls have less of their own personal lessons, and it's more of a collective mission. It's more of like the interconnectivity, because as you become an older soul, you naturally start to see through the layers of illusion, which creates this veil of separation. And you see it is all for one and one for all. And so, also, and naturally your lessons are less personal anyways. You don't need as much of those ironing outs as younger souls to mature souls need. Okay. But how you're getting in your own way, I feel like is, the second it seems like things aren't working out or going the way that you think they should go, I feel like there might be a little bit of like, you might get disheartened or feel like, okay, it's not for me or something. Oh my God, you have the Emperor coming up again. So there's a big message here about taking charge, okay? Taking the lead, going for it. Man, I freaking love tarot. I love it so much, y'all. Love these multiple repeating messages coming up. So I feel like taking the first step, being bold, taking the first action is definitely a repetitive message that's coming through here. Okay, so when you see it, you're going for it. You're not waiting for perfection. Okay, let's get deeper in how you're getting in your own way. Disconnect and boredom. We have 8 2 times here, and we have 844. So a lot here about the heart, victory and success. I feel like how you're getting in your own way, there's a lot of it's a cutoff from your heart. I almost said you're getting in your head, but it's like, I feel like it's mostly like, maybe that's that too, but I feel like mostly it's a disconnection from the heart, because you've been let down in the past, because you've tried things before and they didn't work out. Maybe you're just feeling a bit like winded, or like, what's the point really? But taking the first step, most certainly. And, when we start to feel apathetic in our life, it's like leading us towards success. Okay, so sometimes knowing what we don't want is just as important, or just as serving of a catalyst for us, when knowing in terms of like navigating what it is we do want. So let's get deeper with the tarot. What's getting in your own way? We have the Magician. So using what you have, okay, getting started with what you have, making it happen. Like, really, there's so much here about like actively doing it, actively like getting started, actively moving in the direction of your vision. Even if it's like you don't even know where to start somewhere. Like, if it's like you're interested in being a yoga teacher or something, take a yoga class, take many yoga classes, decide which type of yoga, which form of yoga you resonate with more. It's like, just do something to get these energies moving. Because there's a lot of auspicious energy. The Magician is like, it's an auspicious time to start new things, but because this is coming in how you're getting in your own way, I feel like there's been many opportunities, or several opportunities throughout your life that have been like auspicious times to like jump on the wave, and you haven't, because you feel like you're not good enough, because you feel like you don't have what it takes. There's like imposter syndrome, because like you're too tired or whatever, all valid reasons, absolutely. But I really do feel that, and nothing happens. Like, I'm not saying that's not part of your path, because we learn through contrast as well. And so seeing when you've missed the waves will make it so you don't miss those waves anymore. And that's been a big teacher for me as well. So when a wave does start to swell, I'm a grab my surfboard and ride that, because, it's just, you start to catch on to the nature of reality and how your higher self is always trying to move you in certain directions. Okay. There's a lot about you going out and doing it. Okay. Next, we have the Two of Wands. So Aries energy. All right. Really going out there, going for it. This is you following your highest inspiration. We have 1, 2. So taking the steps necessary. This is whenever you're making decisions, are you making decisions that are more, are you allowing your heart to be the guide here? Are you allowing that excitement to be the guide here? We have so much Mars energy coming up, okay? So much of this Emperor energy coming up. This is like being bold, okay? This is like embodying this in all aspects of your personality. This is speaking it into existence. This is not allowing the ideas or, the fears or whatever of other people. The Emperor does not take orders from other people. The Emperor knows why they're here. That's why they're in the position that they're in, because they see the vision. They see the vision and they fixate on it. Right? They see it, they fixate on it, and nothing can steer them away from that thing. And so this is really about receiving that download, receiving the excitement, and just knowing, okay, this is where I'm supposed to go. And more, it's like, I can attest, you guys, I don't care how fearful you feel at some points in your life, or how insecure you felt at some points in your life, take it from someone who has been there. And literally, I feel like my self-esteem, a decade ago, was in the negatives. Take it from someone that never felt like they would even be where I am today, making the moves I am making, with the amount of confidence I'm making it, knowing that this is just the beginning. It is possible, okay? And the way that you carry yourself when you're locked into what you're here to do, when you're speaking from the heart, when you're residing more and more from the heart. I see a lot of disconnection from the heart. Reopening your heart and residing in that place accelerates your timeline. It increases your magnetism. The heart has an electromagnetic field that is 5,000 times greater than that of the mind. I'm not seeing a whole lot of mental activity getting in the way. However, that can most certainly be something there for you. I'm seeing most importantly, or mostly, it's a disconnection from the heart, okay, or a close down of the heart center. Next, we have Justice. What's getting in your own way? It's what you're here to do. It's the right thing to do. Why you're not doing it? Don't mean to call you out. We have the Four of Wands too, but that's what we're here to do for each other. We have 444. Okay. 444 is all about integration. It's the number of archangels. It's the number of your spirit guides. How my guides have shown it to me before, when you take a 4 that looks like this, it's like you start down here, you have main insight, you have a major insight or a major pop-out moment, or an epiphany, right? Or a major download in the meditation. So it elevates your paradigm up to here energetically, but then there's that moment of integration, okay? And then we keep doing that. We go up the ladder, then we got to bring it down, integrate it. But we're still raising our baseline, even though it didn't stay at that high point that it once was at, okay? So this is all about integrating the wisdom that you're receiving, actually, getting that insight. And then this is what's coming through in your meditations, or what keeps calling you back. That's that excitement. And then here's the Emperor coming through. Here is the authority. You have authority twice coming through. Take charge with authority. Here's that inner authority, because it's coming from your higher self. So we don't question it. Now it's making the move, and it's integrating it into our life. It's bridging the gap between our higher ideals and what we're actually seeing on the earth plane. That's why the heart is coming up so much here, because the heart resides right in the center of the higher chakras, the spiritual planes, the realms of the 5D beyond, and the physical reality, 3D, 4D, okay? The lower chakras, this earthly experience, the heart has to be open. And then we just flow from there, I swear. And that's what leads you to your victory and success. That's what leads you right place, right time, right people. Celebrating more, seeing life as a celebration, not seeing it as this thing that we just need to make it through, right? It's in all ways, bringing life into your life. Yeah, letting life live you, not you living life, but letting life live through you, and showing you what you're made of, showing you what you're here to do. Okay, I'm going to move these out of the way a little bit. We're moving on with how to best live out your destiny. Relax and release. Most certainly, that was coming up so much. Okay, so maybe it's less of like, maybe you do have some nervous system stuff to unwire. And so, you know, you're dealing with, I don't want to say I'm an expert, but maybe with breath work and meditation. That's why I started my own journey, because I felt something very similar, like having so many powerful codes within you. And then there's like a slight disconnection in terms of like, you feel like, how does this work? How does this translate? How do I actually start to like embody this? Totally get it. And that's why I started the journey that I'm on. And that's why I gift these tools to other people. And this is why it's part of my dharma on the planet at this time, is for this very similar reason. You are here to, it's not saying these codes aren't here of like being a boss, okay? And being a teacher and being a wise guide. Those codes are there. It's just about surrendering, honestly, and opening the heart more and doing it because you know it's the right thing to do, right? This is like, because it's coming from the authority of your higher self. And sun love. Yeah, this is opening the heart. Not surprised. Okay, I feel like because I'm seeing this, part of your early incarnation might have been where you felt like deprived from love, or the people that were, you know, supposed to love you the most kind of let you down the most, that kind of thing. And so, how to best live out your destiny. You're living it from the heart, right? It's relaxed, man. I can't even tell you. I was just talking about this recently. Like, the more that I practice breath and meditation, I haven't missed a day of breath and meditation since September 1st of 2022. And when I tell you like how good it feels to just like move through life when you just feel like you're in your own skin, man. It's like when you're always in that energy of peace and relaxation. Not to say it's not kicked up, right? But because you practice it enough, in those moments where, you know, an old version of yourself would have just been, you know, your nervous system would have just been shot in a certain situation, because you've been cultivating your peace and your relaxation and releasing of the, you know, the protection mechanisms around the heart, because you've been practicing that so much when you can, and when you don't have a lot of stress, and when you don't have a lot of triggers into these like old non-serving ways of being. It's like when they do come around, when those triggers do inevitably come around, because that's the nature of Earth and the nature of lessons on this planet, you notice, you're like, God damn, like, who this? Like, this feels good. Even if it might still be there, you might still have those remnants, but they don't have as strong of a grip hold over you, right? And you're releasing your judgments. I'm getting a lot of judgments with all this fire coming up. You know how excess fire manifests in our psyche is as being very judging. And there's a difference between discernment and judgment, right? Being kind of judgy of self mostly. Maybe that relays out into other people, but I feel like it's mainly towards yourself. Anger, impatience, right? All of this. So yeah, how to best live out your destiny. You're loving yourself, and you're more and more finding yourself, like every day. It's super important to find ways to just like relax into the present moment, because, you know, you're going to notice those moments where you're not relaxing more. They're going to become more, it's going to become less of like, this is how I always operate, in a state of like subtle stress and like cortisol, in a subtle state of fight or flight. And so you'll notice in those moments, they become even more heightened, you know, even if it's not to the intensity or the degree at which you were, you know, 5 years ago, or even 5 months ago, you used to operate in. It becomes heightened because your new normal is more of this relaxed state, more of, I'm comfortable in my skin. And so the second you start to not feel it, you notice it, and you're like, okay, relax, release. Solar calm. A lot of this masculine energy, but calm, balanced out, right? So how to best live out your destiny. Strength. Hell yeah. Perseverance. Not meant to be an easy journey. You're not giving up. Taming the beast. Okay? This is our divine self taming the beast of our primal self, of, you know, this is going from my will to thy will. Okay? Surrendering, again, was coming up. The Empress. Beautiful. Love to see the counterparts here. So how to best live out your destiny it's like when you are in a relaxed state, you are going to receive those divine downloads, and you're taking charge. You're actually moving in that direction. I was wondering if we were going to see her come up. Okay, and the Empress is the ultimate embodiment of feeling comfortable in your own skin, right? Feeling comfortable in your own expression is another way of saying that. Being comfortable with the gifts that you are here to impart to humanity at this time. Okay, she's not trying to impress anyone. Not saying that you guys do that at all, but it's like just that air of like, I feel like sometimes people that are very gifted in certain areas start to hold back their expertise because they're like, well, I don't want people to think that I think I know it all. Or I don't want people to think, I don't want people to think, thinking too much about what people think, right? And the Empress just is like, this is just who I am, and it gets easier to be like, take it or leave it, this is just who I am. This is what I'm here for. And I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm not here to prove anything, right? But this is just what I'm here for. And so that's where that air of authority comes from, because when you are aligned with your higher self, your higher wisdom, you got it going on, like you just know you're working with some powerful forces. So it's like, here we are. How to best live out your own destiny. 10 of Wands, 9 of Cups, Queen of Cups. Intuition guides the way, you guys. Opening the heart. Okay. Not surprised we have this coming up. Not surprised at all, because we have the what's getting in your way, or how you're getting in your way, own way, and then how to best live out your destiny. It's opening your heart, okay? Opening the heart, being able to walk away from those things that you need to walk away from that don't serve you, not choosing something because it makes sense, or because you're always choosing, you're always leaning in the direction of, is this in alignment with my why? Is this in alignment with my purpose? Does this feel like it lights me up? Even if I don't know how it's going to fit in to my overall picture, I'm going to lean into that direction. It doesn't make sense. I think Steve Jobs said it, like, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. It actually came up in my meditation today, so I'm not surprised it's coming up right now. Okay. So yeah, I feel like this is releasing those things, those burdens, those things that weigh you or feel down, that you have to do it on your own. Releasing the idea you have to do it on your own, or that you're not working with powerful energy in this life. This is setting down those things that I feel like have already served their purpose. Maybe in some ways it's like challenging to walk away from things once they've served you, or people once they've served you. And not to say that we're like using people, or anything like that, but yeah, it's just not carrying more than you need to. This is reminding me of a quote that came up yesterday, and that's been coming up again. I think it was, who was it? Ramana Maharshi said this about getting to our destinations, getting to where we're meant to be in life. It's like we're on a train and we're already going where we're meant to. We're everywhere we need to go. We're on this train. We're going to get there, like divine intervention and, free will, whatever. We're going to get to where we need to get. And we're on this train, and our life is taking us where we need to get. And we can carry all of this baggage. We can carry our luggage with us, which is the worries, the fears. How am I going to make it by? How all of that mind stuff. Or we can just like set it down and actually enjoy the journey, because you're going to get there anyways. Whatever is going to happen that needs to happen for your soul's highest development is going to happen. So there's so much here about just relax, let it go. It's going to be okay. It's all good. Release it. Okay. I got you. More and more spirits like, I got you. And you're really here to just like live from your heart, to gush from this place of love, unconditional love, like no one has ever seen before. And yeah, and the strength of your heart. I think of courage. When I think of the heart, I do think of this Leo energy. I do think of the lion, heart of a lion, right? Someone who's courageous, which doesn't mean fear is not there or those limiting beliefs aren't there, but courage is acting in the face of fear, despite the fear, right? So beautiful. This is meant to be such a beautiful incarnation. It probably already is in so many ways. It's just going to get better, truly. You're going to feel more comfortable in who you are, more confident in showing up as the leader that you're meant here to be. Great change you're meant to instill on the planet and the lives of others around you, and the lives of many, for sure. And this is about putting the heart above anything else, okay? Keeping the heart open. Keeping the heart open. All right, pile number 2. I'm going to leave this here for now. If this resonated with you today, let's go ahead and let's leave a cup. Pretty sure that's what it was for the first pile, but it doesn't matter. Let's leave a cup emoji down below, seeing all my heart warriors. If there's nothing else you want to commenting and liking the video helps these confirming, validating messages reach those souls that need them when they need them. And I do hope I'll see you soon. Much love. Hey, group number 3, welcome to your soul's purpose reading. These types of readings tend to be pretty general just because there are so many layers to these things, but I am hoping that you'll leave with some good validation and confirmation into the things that you already know, and just to give you more fuel to your flame within this incarnation. Okay, so went ahead and shuffled off camera today. There are 4 piles there are 4 aspects to each reading. The first is why you're here. The next is what you're being called to do. Then how you're getting in your own way. And lastly, how to best live out your destiny. Okay. So we're going to just hop right into the reading, starting with why you are here, group number 3. First, we have conjunction with alliance. Next, we have moon with perception. Gemini, cross-pollinate. There's already a lot here about working with other people, utilizing the internet, like not just the internet, but even like traveling, going places, meeting people. A big part of why you're here is to help shift the perception of other people, or your perception is expanded enough that you bring a lot of calm and clarity to people. You know, the moon is all about maybe not perceiving things in the best light, or having misperceptions, right? And so I feel like in a big way, the work you're here to do as a soul, you are here with a group of souls that are doing this type of work on the planet, that are helping each other very consciously set each other free. So I'm thinking like the thought leaders and the spiritual communities, the masters, people that worked with truth. And when we meet truth, it's inevitable that we feel more free, right? Because that's a wider lens of perception. Truth sees through wider and wider lenses of perception, less and less personal lenses of perception. And I feel like in a big way, you're here to work with these people, whether you are on the receiving end or the giving end, or even both, in terms of like going to workshops or hosting workshops where you are allowing the lens of perception to expand wider and wider. Next, we have rebirth. Yeah, most certainly. Constantly growing, constantly shedding old skins. A path where it is you are very consciously navigating a path where you're becoming your best self. And it's not that, sometimes I don't like saying becoming your best self, because like who you're meant to be, who we're all meant to be, is already within our soul's blueprint within this lifetime. It's there, but it's kind of chiseling away. I think it was Michelangelo who said, this is a being that made these incredible marble statues, and he would often say that it's already there. The greatness is already there. The beauty, the statue is already there. My job is just to chip away all that is not that. And so that's our job within this life, is to chip away all of those things, all of that rigidity that kind of exists around our perfect expression already. And so in some way you're working on that level, whether you are doing, like, there's so many different ways that this can apply, whether plant medicine, or you're going to a lot of retreats, or you're just traveling, or you're doing like rebirth breathwork things. There's so many different ways that this can look, but a big part of your soul's journey is constantly going through these upgrades and these shifts. You could have a very strong Pluto placement, or like, Pluto and Scorpio, like myself. I do know Pluto is a slower moving planet, but that it really doesn't have to be the case. All in all, this is just telling me that you are here to create change, and it's like you are here to live from the inside out. And it's not to say that outside doesn't start to become bomb more and more, but your internal world is much more real, I feel, and much more important to you than what's going on outside. And through that, adjusting your lens of perception, more and more your outside world will start to just be this incredible reflection where it's not even a question that something greater is guiding you. And by just opening yourself up more and more to that something greater, your ship is steered towards more joyful horizons, versus when our perception is less expanded and we're more fear-based and we're operating more from the protection mechanism, aka the ego, how that kind of like steers our ship away from these, more beautiful horizons that our higher self or, this something greater is trying to steer us towards. So next we have Midhaven, Pinnacle. This is so beautiful. So yeah, this is like, you're always being prepped for something better. You're always being prepped for this like beautiful, gorgeous heaven on earth. This is like, this life is definitely meant to be somewhat of a celebration, pile number 3. It is meant to be like almost a dream come true is what I'm getting, like a fantasy, like something where you're like, wow, more and more as the days go on, it's like, is this really my life? Is this really like you're ruling a kingdom with other people? Like I'm seeing these birds and this as these birds, right? It's like, you're doing it together. You're meant to rise with other people. You're meant to do this with other people. You're meant to lift other people as well. I am getting really good teacher vibes from this group. A really great wise counselor. Next, we have all paths lead home, inner authority, intuition, trust your gaze, and turn within. Yeah, for sure. I feel like you guys are at a stage in your advancement where you understand the subtleties of perception. You understand that this game that we're all playing is a very, very, very subtle game. And it's about trusting your intuition, turning more. There's so much here with the moon, and it literally says intuition here that why you're here is you're here to be a living, breathing example of how surrendering to what the masters have been saying for millennia on this planet. It's like you're going to know truth by her name. You're going to embody truth by your own beingness, through your own surrender. Okay, and yeah, there's in a big way, you will more and more feel like you're on your path, and more things will just start to click and flow the more you're with other people. Okay, it's really important that you're open to meeting other people and being like putting yourself out there and cross-pollinating, right? I feel like in a big way you're going to feel more alive, and you're just going to meet more of yourself through, literally meet more of the capital SELF through, and the understanding more of yourself and your gifts, honestly, the things that you are really good at through your interpersonal relationships. More and more, I feel like you'll be like, wow, I really do make a difference in people's lives. Wow, I didn't know, like maybe you knew a little bit the impact that you had on other people, but I feel like you don't really know the breadth and the degree to which you help people become a better version of themselves, and you help set people free through the truth that you speak. Right. And so I feel like a big part of your soul's purpose is, you're not going to find love you, pile 3, but you're going to find more success when you are walking your own path, when you are not taking other people's word for it. You're going to find the most amount of fulfillment when you are going your own way, right? When you're not taking other people's word for it, when you are following that inner teacher above anything else. So we're going to dive into what you're being called to do. We have release the old and rest. Beautiful. With this autumn crow energy. We have traveler, move in a new direction. So yeah, there's so much here about traveling that's been coming through. A lot here about wisdom and just like psychic abilities and having a strong intuition as well. So what you're being called to do, group 2, is like to move, group 3 is like carrying yourself different, moving different. Okay, there's something that I feel like you might still be holding on to, or there's like ideas or ways of perceiving that you're still holding on to that I feel like is maybe one of those protection mechanisms that we discussed earlier. Like the ego still has its, as long as we're here, the ego is going to play these games with us. It thinks it's protecting us. It's not a negative thing. It's part of the personality. The ego is the vehicle that we have in this life to navigate this life. However, we don't want it to be overbearing. We don't want to take our cues from those protection mechanisms. So I'm really seeing that there's something that you're holding on in your life that is like kind of inhibiting you from moving in a direction that you really want to be in, moving in a direction or like at least stirring up new energies, right? Even just carrying yourself differently, even just like doing something new. I was just telling a friend this the other day who was like auditioning to be a K-pop artist. She's so sweet. She's so cute. She's like my inherited little sister in this incarnation. Very wise soul. But I was like, even if you don't like get the part or you don't get the spot, right? Just you doing this is going to stir up new energies, and it's going to open doorways that seem completely unrelated to this thing, right? So moving differently, going about your days differently, and maybe releasing whatever this is, starting off energetically, releasing this, opening space for new realities, for new timelines energetically, and then, seeing what's in store. Let's see this last card. A win-win outcome is forecast. So if there's any part of you that is fearful of walking away from something or someone or a situation, just know this is going to benefit all people involved. Okay, so not sure what this is in particular. This is a very clear message that what you're being called to do is to move in a new direction and releasing what has been. Because I feel like the divine is creating space for something even better than maybe you could have even created yourself. Let's get a little bit deeper. This is super straightforward. For the other piles, like I went on for a bit, but this is a super coherent, like I don't need to drag this on. This is very clear. There's something you're releasing. There's a new way you're supposed to be moving, carrying yourself. Maybe like by releasing, you find a new direction, and maybe by moving in the new direction, you're able to more easily release. Okay, these don't necessarily have to go hand in hand, but they're both going to affect the other. Releasing is going to get you moving is going to get you releasing. Okay, and everyone involved in a situation is going to benefit greatly. Okay, it's going to open the doorway to a more expanded perception, even if all parties involved or even if it seems uncomfortable at first, even if it seems to bring like hurt at first, or someone is like attached to something being a certain way, or you're attached to things being a certain way, trust that a win-win outcome is forecast, and things are going to pan out better than you can even expect. So next, we're diving into how you're getting in your own way. Heartache and loss. So yeah, maybe this is the thing that you're afraid of walking away from, or just like, maybe not afraid is the best word, but maybe this is part of the energies that is hard to let go of. Or this could also be saying a certain heartache or loss or like wounds from the past are kind of creating a little bit of internal dissonance in your experience. We have divine timing. We have show appreciation. And we have think about it. Okay, I am going to get out the tarot. We have Nine of Wands, the World, the Hermit in reverse, the Chariot, and everything is fine. There's two of these cards in this deck, and one is the actual Ten of Swords, and one is that you're creating something to be, I'm pretty sure that's what it means, but that's how I'm interpreting this, that what you think is like going to be terrible, or it's like you're making mountains out of molehills, it's like you're making something, your mind is creating something to be a much dramatic and bigger deal than what it actually is. Okay, so I'm seeing some sort of mistrust. I'm seeing that there's a need to go within. Very clear. There's a need to get in your own space. There's a need to get into your own energy. Yeah, I feel like overall there's a doubt in how your life is unfolding. For some reason, it seems like I really am getting the energy that you're kind of like exhausted in a way, and there's a mistrust in that things are working out for you, and it's like there's a desire to gain the world, there's a desire to be successful, there's a desire to get beyond these things, and I feel like there might be some willpower, or there might just be some energetics, like having the energy to move in a new direction, or having the energy to change something in your life to get you out of this energy that you're in. This is part of the rebirth, okay? It looks like you're maybe right now going through the death cycle, right? Death always comes before a rebirth. The breakdown always comes before the build up, okay? And so I feel like things are just maybe moving slower than you would like, or you're not getting the evidence that you feel like you need in terms of moving beyond something or just like shifting your reality in a different way. Okay, but everything is good. Like, you're straight. This is all about trusting more and, you know, having an appreciation for those things that break us down, having an appreciation for the dark nights of the soul. This is something that came through for me like a few months ago, because I was like having dark night after dark night after dark night. I was doing a lot of breath work. I think this might have been before that period. I honestly can't remember, because like the way things have shifted for me as I'm breathing more and as I'm like welcoming in more of this divine energy, things have just completely accelerated. And that honestly has accelerated my surrender and being able to hear the voice of the soul. So because I'm going on a little tangent about that, I'm just going to put out there and let you guys know that I do offer 30-minute personally curated breath and meditation containers. And what you learn in those containers, you can practice every day to help ease tension around this heartache and loss, that help chisel away more of that ego structure. Because every day, as you're doing these practices, and even if you do it every other day, just 5 to 10 minutes a day, whether you know it or not, you're setting your intention to let the divine come in and to rewire you and to upgrade you, right? But there was a period where my guides were showing me very clearly that dark nights of the soul are the harbingers of death. The harbinger of death is a dark night of the soul. And why we resist it is because of that, because we have such a subconscious fear of death. And it's actually a good sign, because it's trying to, these dark nights, when we kind of go through that period of having like an existential crisis where we don't really know who we are anymore and our belief systems like feel very faulty, that's a really good sign, because like it's breaking down the old in order to make way for brighter perceptions, in order to make way for more expanded ways of being, for greater paradigms. But what most people do is they try to hold on for dear life to those old paradigms, to those old ideas that higher self is trying to move you beyond. And so it kind of keeps us in this endless cycle, this feedback loop of being where it is that we don't actually want to be. And so if you're going through this dark night of the soul, the message from the guides today is to allow it to happen, allow the breakdown to happen. And to do your best to not identify with the energies. Everything is fine. Everything is going as it should. Okay, there's some resistance here for sure. And and after this dark night period, if you have surrendered and you're doing your best to release old narratives, you're going to find that rebirth in no time. Okay, but this is having an appreciation for all cycles of life and not assuming you're off course. Right? If this is what you're experiencing, if these people and these circumstances, these situations are currently in your life, it's because higher self knows this is what is absolutely necessary for you to have a life that deep down you know you're meant to have. Higher self knows what path is going to lead you to your true self, what path is going to lead you home. And sometimes it takes revisiting certain energies. Sometimes it takes going through this uncomfortable cycle again and again and again before we start to get it. And then more and more those scales tip, and it's like we are just living in more of a flow. I saw something on TikTok the other day that was so beautiful. I almost want to pull up the video, like you guys are here with me in my space, to show you, but it was so beautiful. The guy was like, "Be." Oh my God, this is so crazy how perfectly it's aligning with his reading. But he said, "Be," like BEE, a flower, like someone who flows with life. But the way that flower is spelt looks like flower, right? FLOR, flower. ER. Oh, wow. Let me try that again. FLOW, flower, ER, so flower, be a flower. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. This message was for you too as well. So he was basically saying the more that we are in our flow, whatever that is, we have to find ourselves more and more in that flow. And he was speaking to artists, he was speaking to creatives, he was speaking to people that were, you know, opening themselves up to the divine, to be instruments of the divine. And essentially, the more you're in that state of flow, the more that things just work out, the more that things become magical. He was essentially saying that's your sweet spot, is to do your art, whatever gets you in that flow state, to live from that flow state. That is what's going to bring you into these higher timelines very quickly. That is what I have learned through breath work. It helps to get you into that flow state. It helps to lessen the left brain that is over dominant within many of us, and to accentuate and to highlight and to activate more of the right brain, which is associated with flow state, which is associated with perception, which is associated with creativity, that kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to move on in terms of how to best live out your destiny. We have crown chakra coming up in reverse. We have harmony. So this is telling me even more. This is reiterating. This is just showing me a connection between these cards. The Hermit in reverse and the crown chakra are deeply linked here, okay? How to best live out your destiny is opening your crown. So there is a lot here actually about meditation. There's even more here about your partnerships. There's even more here about soul family. There's even more here about happily ever after. But there's a lot here about opening the heart chakra, and that coming online more, that you're meeting people, okay? That you're opening yourself to soul family, that you're laughing with other people, that you're engaging with other humans, okay? That you're not hermiting yourself in a negative way, you know, isolating yourself is what the Hermit in reverse can also mean. Isolating yourself when it's like, it's not necessary, right? Because everything has its pros, everything has its cons, right? Everything has its, everything in moderation. Okay, so sometimes going into those isolating periods are much needed, and sometimes it's like keeping us in a place of stagnation. Maybe we're thinking about something too much, maybe we're obsessing about something too much, maybe it's just like keeping us in this endless cycle where where we're just driving ourselves further into insanity, right? But it's like there's a cycle that's wanting to end for sure. Okay, and part of what is getting in the way or getting in your way at this time is the cycle can't end for whatever reason. Maybe it's like you're like, I've been doing this so long and it's not going to be okay. But Spirit is like, everything's going to be good for everyone involved when you can like finally end this cycle and let this death process happen. And when it's like you're in this new creative rebirth energy, like carrying yourself different, and it's really time to harness the energies that are being presented to you. Next, we have the sun with light. So this is following the light. This is being the light. This is trusting. Okay. The sun also highlights the best aspects of whatever else it's on the board with. And so you guys, like, I was just writing about this in my meditation. I had this very clear download come through about being in stillness. Okay. And it's like this something greater that we've been discussing today is trying to steer our ship towards true joy, towards lasting joy, towards a joy that doesn't rely on external circumstances. But the storminess and the restless nature of our own psyche, of our own mind, oftentimes is what causes us to resist the course. There's a lot in store for you, Pile 3. There is so much happiness that I can't even begin to convey. And it's a type of happiness that is not based on, like, in a way, it has to do with other people, but it has more to do with your relationship to the divine whole itself, right? And then the more that you become this open vessel, the more I feel like you're just going to inspire so many people. And you have so much love to give, and it's going to feel less rigid, and you're going to feel so free. More and more, you're feeling more and more free. More like that rebirth process is more continual, and the glow ups just become more and more obvious, you know, to other people. So how to best live out your destiny? We have 4 of Cups. We have the 5 of Pentacles. We have the 6 of Swords. So yeah, I see this moving away from this energy, because the 4 and the 5 make a 9, right? Moving away from apathy, moving away from denying opportunities to actually love, denying opportunities to actually connect with other people, getting out of this like no one understands me, no one likes me, no one gets me, I'm the black sheep, moving out of that mentality and into calmer waters. Interesting, we were just talking about the ship, right? And this is like the divine. I see this almost as like the North Star. The divine is trying to guide you into calmer waters. What else do we have? We have the Knight of Pentacles. This is a worthwhile journey. We have the Empress. And we have the World coming up again. Letting this cycle end. Starting a new cycle. Releasing the narratives. Letting those narratives die. Releasing the old. Releasing attachment. Sometimes it's like, even if we want to be a new version of self, and even if we believe we can start to see a new version of self is coming online, it's a brain thing too. You know, it's like, if we aren't creating space, opening the crown, it's like there's so many neural pathways that have been connected and created that are suggesting you are this old person, that are suggesting that this is how life works. But the more we meditate, the more we open, the more that we surrender our thoughts, the more that it goes from my will to thy will more naturally. Like, this has been studied in by quantum physicists. Like, new neural pathways are created. Your neuroplasticity begins to increase when you breathe, when you meditate, when you open space, when you open the crown chakra. And that's what allows us to embody new identities. That's what allows us to embody new habits and behaviors. And it happens seamlessly. It's just chipping away. It's not a becoming. I don't have to go out and visualize my life into existence. No, existence is bringing life to you. Existence is living life through you. Existence is attracting everything that they need. This is about being comfortable in your skin. This is about not even lifting a finger, but everything is happening around you and for you. Okay, because this is a big cycle that you're in, and a big cycle that you're completing. Okay, and a big part of living out your destiny to an even greater degree than you already are, group number 3, is allowing this cycle to end. Okay, allowing this process to end, allowing this chapter to close, allowing this cycle to complete itself, and beginning a new journey. Okay, having enough conviction. This definitely has to do with your external reality as much as it does your internal. Okay, with the Knight of Pentacles, this has to do with your environment. This has to do with how you're carrying yourself in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day affairs. There are great things in store for you, my friend. Okay, and there's many people that I feel like you're meant to know, and maybe you have felt this greatness within yourself, but you're like, how can I even be in the same room as A, B, C, and D? But it's like, those people that you look up to, you have similar codes as them. You have the difference is that maybe they've had more lifetimes where they've worked on surrender, or maybe it's just like, again, you were meant to go through these catalysts and these changes, or these obstacles, these seeming obstacles, these challenges, to just break you down and to open your heart. And that breakdown is necessary. It's absolutely necessary, because then more and more we're like, I don't know what else to do. It kind of forces us in that state of surrender when we're not naturally, I guess, or willfully, or by our own, by our own choice, choosing to surrender. But yeah, this is moving beyond those ways of denying yourself the beauties of life through connection. You're going to feel so much more rich and prosperous when you just accept people's cups, when you accept what the divine is giving you, when you accept these new directions. Okay, I do see you moving towards greater light, greater harmony, greater relationships, more warmth, more understanding. And it is all about not letting yourself stay isolated, and to not think too much about things, to get so in your head about when it's very clear the divine is moving you in a certain way, to not let your left brain take over. Okay, more and more you'll give your left brain, the ego, the protection mechanisms, the evidence it needs to know, okay, yeah, things actually go really well when we trust the right brain. Things actually go really well when we trust the divine, the voice of our soul, the wisdom of our soul, right? So this is beautiful. Scales are tipping. This is a powerful cycle that you are completing, and you're going to feel brand new on the other side. And yeah, you're really being moved in a very powerful, very beautiful direction. And everything to book a session with me is down below. And if this was your pile today, let's go ahead and leave a flower down below, or a bee. That was like so dope that came through. So dope. Love the synchronicities. It's all divine, right? Give this video a thumbs up, and I do hope to see you on my channel again soon. Much love.